Video is to talk overall about how diffusion works, specifically reverse diffusion in this instance. But I am making this video having stable audio, having just released today, and then already seeing like a bunch of hype around stable audio. And then their marketing, like the stable audio marketing very specifically, is like this is the greatest audio, like AI audio invented out there, right? And then so there's gonna be a bunch of hype around this, and then just trying to get ahead of the hype. I'm kind of tired of the hype personally around like AI stuff, and then so let's get like ahead of the hype on this, and then I'll just tell you up front, like stable audio is. I'll put it flat out, honestly, how I think that it is. Just like I think that this is a reason why Stability AI is like not a company anymore, right? Like I think like it's I'm glad that someone innovated in these areas because I think it's important innovation and it's important research to do, but it's not profitable and it's not like it doesn't lead us towards the end goal. It leads us towards where not to go, right? And then so first of all, let's talk about like overall, like just a real simplistic overall explanation of how this overall reverse diffusion works, right? And then so I mean, essentially, what you're looking at here is like the mathematics behind it, and then so essentially you have like a probability distribution and a Gaussian distribution, and then the diffusion model is sampling from the Gaussian distribution every single time. And then so essentially what that means is like from like real world, you take an image and then you add a bunch of noise to it, and then like it becomes all fuzzy, right? And then so reverse diffusion is just simply the opposite of that, where it's like you've trained a model on this diffusion process where you've trained it on a bunch of images and then adding a bunch of noise to the image, and then you just say, okay, do the reverse then, like take a fuzzy image and then just denoise it, like take all of the noise out of it, and then it works, and it's like a mathematical parlor trick essentially is how it works, right? And then it's funny that you can use it for audio, like of course everyone knows that we can use it for images, so but let's talk about it specifically for audio, right? And then so specifically for audio, when you have an audio file, it produces audio waves, and then like audio waves have different frequencies, right? Like and then those different audio waves with those different frequencies show up differently when you're talking about diffusion, which is based off of noise. And then so you can essentially like do that same noise and denoise process and replicate what the the noise is of the image. But like as I'm gonna show you, the thing is like when it's applied to audio, this is a unique parlor trick, right? It's a mathematical parlor trick in that you're not going to get more advanced than it is, and there's a lot of like restrictions as far as the capabilities. This article even breaks it down, right? Diffusion models are fundamentally different from all the previous generative methods. Intuitively, they aim to decompose the image generation process, sampling, in many small denoising steps. This is like the big thing to get across is that like diffusion in itself and reverse diffusion, it's a completely different process than when we talk about like AI or any other AI outside of this. We're talking about like a completely different process, right? Like when we're talking about like neural networks, when we're talking about transformers, when we're talking about chat GPT, all of these things are a completely different process than this. And it's just for a lot of different, it's for the math, the way that the math breaks down. Essentially, like it's a mathematical parlor trick is the best way, right? Like it's essentially you're just again going through the Gaussian distribution and then sampling and generating sample distribution data from that. It's all that you're doing at the end of the day with diffusion. And then so you're taking like images and then sampling and then noising or denoising those images. And then so what does this exactly mean for when we're talking about the actual audio in this instance, right? And then so because that's what this all boils down to. And then so I've got two examples, and then so the very first thing is that like off of the top, that diffusion can't generate like voices, the voice inflection and the voice box, and there's a lot of things there where the parlor trick doesn't work for voices. So that's out number one, right? Number two, so we're only talking about instrumentals, uh, and then so I'm going to just preface up front by saying that I'm trying to give these instrumentals like the best they can. The very first, the Trance Ibiza, Beach, Sun, 4 a.m., etc. That's like their. This is what their default prompt is. And then so what I'm gonna do is I'll play like 30 seconds to a minute of each one of these, and then we're gonna do the same thing on Suno. And I'm gonna talk about to you about what exactly the difference is and why the difference is occurring, because stable audio and Suno are completely different technologies on the back end, as we saw in that article, right? Diffusion is different than all other generative AI technologies, and Suno is not based off of diffusion. So let's go into this, right? I'm gonna pick this part of the song, which is this is like where it's the like the most going on in this song, and this is like a symphony orchestra song. Okay, and you might be saying that's not bad because it's not that bad, right? And then so let's play a little bit of this Trans Ibiza song. We'll play like again like a 45 seconds or a minute or so. Okay, so I'll play it up until that build up, and then it's going to get kind of repetitive, right? And I'm going to save my commentary on both of these until we listen to like all of them. So let me go through the Suno. That's what we can get from stable audio, right? And then so first one is orchestra, second one is trance music, and then so let's go over here to Suno. Same exact prompt. Okay, and then let's do the same thing for one of the orchestra ones. Okay, cool. So to me, I mean, that was actually like kind of like good to listen to, right? So I'll just put it flat out. If you're listening between the stable audio and the one that we just listened to with Suno, like I would like, who's actually going to listen to that one from stable audio? Like, I mean, just putting my opinion flat out there. Like, I don't foresee people actually listening to it. Like, it's not good music, right? And then there's a few reasons for that. Like the first one is that like if you listen closely, if you have any sort of like trained ear for audio at all, which I don't at all, so like I'm not like I'm an audio expert, right? But even I can detect that you can hear the layers within the audio tracks, and then it's layered on top of each other, right? And then so going back to how this reverse diffusion process works here, where it's essentially just going through and then it's going through and essentially like imaging and noising and denoising the image of the audio, right? And then so within that, it's not layers. And so very specifically, like when you have those like multiple instrument sequences, things like that, there's just inherent problems that you're gonna run into with diffusion. And then it's like, I mean, it's diffusion again. Like it's a cool parlor trick. Like it's cool. It's unique from anything else involving AI and generative AI. But what it's like, there's limitations to the parlor trick, and the limitations are built into it mathematically. And there's not anything that you can do on top of that or beyond that to get around those limitations. And then like from an engineering perspective, it's like, well, like maybe you could like combine like transformers with diffusion. You can't. Like it's they're two separate things, right? Like you could combine transformers with a lot of things. Like you can combine transformers with RNN technology, and then you can get what's like that Jamba model and Mamba and like models that are coming out like that, right? So you can combine it. The problem isn't on the transformer side in this instance. The problem is on the diffusion side, because this is just such a unique method of creation, and in this instance, audio and image creation, that you can't combine it with anything else. Like it just doesn't work. But the limitation of the technology is like just not great, right? And then so like I want to applaud stable audio, because like going back to those stable audio feeds, like for diffusion, it's amazing. Like those outputs are like I think that's the epitome and the upper echelon that we can get from diffusion in this instance. And then so we've learned, and then it cost $1 billion in this instance to learn that uh, the top end of diffusion isn't gonna beat like a record. Like it just won't. And then there's nothing that we can do about it. But now we know, and then so it's cool to know, and it's cool from research perspectives and from all of that. But I think again, you're gonna hear a lot of hype, like oh, like stable audio is like the best audio player on the world. Like if you hear like stable audio is the best audio player on the market now, it's just someone that's just repurposing and regurgitating the stable audio hype. And their marketing hype machine, and not actually giving you. I'm trying to give you like essentially this is how it works. This is how it actually works, and this is what you can actually expect. Like, and I think that's important to do all around when it comes to AI. So, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.